I don't know the answer, but for our peers to tell us we're like white people is just as racist. It's called lateral violence. And the thing is I would be lying if I said I hadn't also experienced it. I mean, I know that I don't look like an Indigenous person. I am white presenting. But the thing is that, majority of the time when I get called a pretendian or a $5 Indian, it's largely, honestly and truthfully, been from Black men when I've been calling out their misogyny towards Black women. There has been 3 or 4 Indigenous women who have gotten very upset with my content. I've had 1 send an unaliving threat, 2 telling me they want to fight me. Does that mean that I then assume that every Indigenous woman isn't going to like me, wants to fight me, and that every Black man that I come across is going to call me a $5 Indian? Or do I just say and understand that these people have, 1, issues, reasons, and things that have happened to them in their life that have nothing to do with me? When my mom would go to the gas station back home, on Fort William First Nation, there were Indigenous looking women who don't have status that would get upset with the fact that she has a status card because they did not believe that she looked Indigenous enough. But my son is half Asian. If I told you my son was Indigenous, people would believe it by looking at him because he looks more Indigenous than I do, but he's actually Asian. But lateral violence is a thing, and that's not racism. But if people of color saying something to you about your status bothers you to the point where you start coming on the internet and spewing racist concepts and belief patterns about all Indigenous people, we can now all understand that it's a you issue. You know what I mean? You've taken other people's issues and you've now made them your issue. It's your trauma speaking, the same way that it's their trauma speaking. Because for some people who are Indigenous presenting, the second you see them, you know they're Indigenous. They're going to experience marginalization. They're going to experience racism in policing and healthcare in a way that I won't. And I can understand that it can be frustrating for those people to see me as someone saying they're Indigenous, but not having to walk out and be seen as Indigenous day to day. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to go on a racist tirade on the internet about all Indigenous people. Because that's when it becomes racist, right? Now, your friend or person that you know personally, as you've said, Clayton or whatever, he came on the internet with his name, his face, and racist comments about his own people. That's a choice he made. These are all choices we make. I could never talk about Indigenous issues ever. I could never, somebody called me out because I was making a lot of content about feminism, and they're like, you don't talk about, race in here, which is important due to intersectional feminism, which is a whole other thing. But, marginalized women experience more issues than white presenting women. I could come on the internet and pretend I'm white 100% and not acknowledge my ancestry at all. I could come on the internet and just be another white girl. I want to go dye my hair blonde. You think when my hair is blonde, people are going to look at me and think I'm in any way Indigenous? And I could hide behind that, or I can spread knowledge because I care. And it's the choices you make that become a reflection about who you are personally. That's a decision you make. And I know that in speaking out as a white presenting person, sometimes my content will go further. And there's power in that. And finally, do you not understand that Indigenous people, your people, our people, telling you that you're like white people while you come on the internet, while he comes on the internet and says every Indigenous person is lazy, all of them are lazy, and spews the same thing that was beaten into Indigenous people in residential schools. Do you understand that they're not being racist? They're pointing out the thought pattern that aligns with the people who beat our ancestors and family members. That's not racist.